So that takes us to Indiana, which I think everyone agrees right now has gone from, a team that made the playoffs last year, lost in the first round. They were building all these young pieces, of course, Caitlin Clark, to now an immediate contender with all the moves.
Sue Bird didn't hold back. She saw the Indiana Fever's championship hype and said, "Pump the brakes, people. Caitlin Clark has the talent, but titles aren't won on Twitter or TikTok dances. Hard work wins rings. Let's break down the real talk, the bold takes, and what it'll take for the Fever to prove themselves."
Which really, I think, is the one that, for most people, took it to another level. So now you're like, oh, they're a contender.
Sue Bird just sent shockwaves through the WNBA with one bold take. This wasn't some casual, "the Fever are improving" comment. Nope. She went all in, declaring Indiana more than just a rising team. In her eyes, they're real title contenders.
Now the expectations have changed. I'm sure the way they're approaching this season has changed. I think the biggest part of DB joining this team is that she's already played for Steph. So I think that's going to help bridge the gap, because as we go along, we're going to talk about Vegas and Seattle, Atlanta. It's really going to be which
Stephanie
team.
White being the head coach of,
right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Was the head coach of Connecticut, now the head coach of India.
Take a moment and let that sink in. This is Sue Bird, a basketball legend, a champion, a strategist. She's played, won, and battled against the best for 2 decades. She's seen super teams. She's led them. So if she says this, it's not for clicks. It's because she sees something real.
Bird is one of the greatest point guards of all time in the WNBA. And she's someone who obviously is a part owner in the Seattle Storm. So hyping up another team is a bit of a conflict of interest.
Sue Bird just moved the Fever to the grown-ups table. She's telling the league, pay attention. This team isn't just fun, they're here to shake things up. And she's probably right. Because this isn't just about Caitlin Clark. Sure, Caitlin is a game changer, drilling shots from the logo like it's nothing. But if you think Sue's hype is only about Caitlin, you don't get how her basketball mind works. She sees the foundation, a team grinding, improving, and building something real. Since Caitlin arrived, the Fever's energy has shifted. They're not just rising, they're coming for everyone. And Sue knows it.
What stands out to you about the experience, the champions that have been added to this bunch?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what everybody talked about when we were in the playoffs last year of, we really didn't have much experience at all playing in playoff games. I don't know what the exact number was, but we really lacked in that area. So just adding pieces of, players that have been in this league, they know what it takes to win, they know what it takes to get to the finals, they know what it takes to win championships, I think is exactly what we needed in our locker room. So it's just exciting, but also they're not only really good basketball players, they're really great leaders and really great people. And I know the front office obviously really prioritized that and looking for the pieces that we wanted to add. So really thankful for that as well.
Let's get one thing straight. Sue Bird doesn't throw around title contender lightly. She built her career on sharp instincts, smart decisions, and knowing exactly what it takes to win. If she says Indiana has something special, she's not speculating. She's recognizing what's coming. Of course, nothing is guaranteed. Championships aren't won in February. But Sue's message is clear. Indiana isn't just a promising young team. They're not here just to develop. They're here to compete. They're here to win. And that should worry the rest of the league. Because the most dangerous thing in sports isn't just raw talent. It's talent fueled by belief. It's a team with momentum. A team that's been doubted and decides, actually, we are ready. Sue Bird sees that shift happening in Indiana. She knows the mindset, the hunger, and the potential. And when a legend like Sue sees something real, the league better pay attention.
But yeah, as I mentioned, Kelsey Mitchell's balling, Caitlin continuing to impress, and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple of years. Yeah. It's just going to be
Let's talk about Cheryl Swoops. That take about real talent never choosing Indiana is quickly becoming one of those cold takes that aged poorly. Because guess what? Players are choosing Indiana. They want to be there. And yes, Caitlin Clark is a big reason why. She's the headliner, the superstar, the box office attraction drawing talent, attention, and a whole new energy to the Fever.
Indiana Fever team.
They getting paid anyway?
That are no, but players who will be free agents next year. There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Indiana is no longer a forgotten, struggling franchise. They're building something real. And when Sue Bird says, "This team is about to be a serious problem," players around the league listen. Because Sue doesn't hand out compliments for fun. She speaks with purpose. When she sees something, she means it. And what she sees is a team that isn't waiting for success. They're chasing it. Look at the moves. This isn't a team hoping Caitlin Clark will save them. They've been building smart, stacking up pieces that make basketball sense. They have a plan, one designed to maximize Caitlin's talent while strengthening the entire roster. Indiana isn't just leaning on hype, they're creating something sustainable, and that's why players are paying attention. Because this isn't just about Caitlin Clark, it's about a franchise that's finally ready to rise.
Start this, and yeah, there's a narrative out there that Kathy made the call, all right? Kathy Engelbert. Oh, we got to make sure we get Caitlin Clark the championship, and I told you there's narrative floating. Number one, they're freaking out. Number two, the next thing you're about to hear is Caitlin Clark needs a super team to win a championship. So they're going to downgrade her status, and they're going to shit on her over that. It's already started. That's where they're going with this.
Free agents are viewing Indiana in a whole new light. It's no longer just a stop for extra minutes. It's a place where you can win. A place where you'll play on national TV, in front of a passionate fan base, alongside a young core that's only getting better. That's exactly what Sue Bird sees. That's why she's been loud about it. She recognizes what's coming. And the best part? So many people refuse to acknowledge it until reality hit them in the face. Indiana has gone from a WNBA afterthought to one of the league's most talked about teams. And it's not just hype. It's about real basketball. Sue understands the trajectory. She sees a team that isn't just hoping for success, but actively building toward it. So if you're still doubting the Fever, if you still believe Indiana isn't a destination, it's time to let that take go. Because the league is shifting, and Indiana is right at the center of it.
What do you mean Sydney Colson is joining the Indiana Fever? What does that mean? Indiana is just being so fucking greedy right now. They took DB, they took Natasha. Now they got Sydney Colson. Like, why would they take Sydney from us?
Sue Bird isn't just analyzing Indiana's roster. She's studying the entire blueprint. And one key factor she sees, which many are overlooking, Stephanie White is the perfect coach for this moment. This isn't some experimental hire. This isn't a let's see if it works situation. White has been here before. She knows how to manage talent, handle expectations, and, most importantly, how to win. And let's not forget, she's already coached DeWanna Bonner. That chemistry? Already established. White knows exactly how to maximize Bonner's skill set, how to fit her into a system, and how to ensure she complements the weapons Indiana has assembled. And let's be real, Bonner isn't just any player. She's experienced, versatile, and still a nightmare for defenders. Now, add Caitlin Clark into that equation, a dynamic scorer with elite playmaking. Pair her with a coach who understands how to build a winning system, and suddenly, Indiana's championship aspirations don't seem far-fetched. The Fever aren't just hoping for success, they're setting themselves up to make it happen.
Oh, it's really going to be the team that finds their chemistry. This season is short. I mean, they're adding games, but it's still pretty short season.
Short, yeah, still short.
And it's
Still
going to
just
be
the
the
summer.
team that finds chemistry. So having Stephanie White there, having already coached DB, really does.
While other teams are making flashy moves and stacking talent, they've got one big problem. Chemistry doesn't happen overnight. You can't just throw a bunch of stars together and expect instant success. That's why some so-called super teams struggle early. They need time to figure out rotations, learn tendencies, and adjust to a new system. But Indiana is built for a fast start. While others are still working out the kinks, the Fever are ready to go now. Caitlin Clark is stepping into a system that already fits her strengths. Aaliyah Boston, She doesn't need to adjust. She's already a dominant force. DeWanna Bonner? She knows exactly how Stephanie White operates. And White, she knows how to get the most out of this team. That's the advantage Sue Bird sees. The Fever aren't searching for an identity. They already have one. While other teams are still figuring out who takes the last shot, Indiana's offense is already in motion. While others debate leadership roles, the Fever have Clark, Boston, Bonner, and White setting the tone. They're not waiting to find success. They're built to chase it from day one.
What the Indiana Fever did last night got me so excited. The Fever, if you haven't been paying attention, they are really active in ensuring that Caitlin Clark and company have a true contending lineup next season. They have Caitlin Clark, they have Aaliyah Boston. They made sure that they re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. That was a big one. They acquired both Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner. They traded for Sophie Cunningham. They still have Lexi Hull. And now they have made a move that is literally my favorite of WNBA free agency. They have signed Sydney Colson, face of the WNBA.
Sue Bird sees that Indiana isn't just collecting talent. They're building a cohesive unit. In a league where teams often need half a season to find their rhythm, the Fever's ability to click immediately could be the difference between a slow climb and a dominant start. And if that happens, if Indiana comes out firing while other teams are still figuring things out, it's going to be a problem for the rest of the league. The Fever aren't here just to develop. They're here to compete now. If you still think this is some long-term rebuild, you're missing the bigger picture. Indiana isn't waiting for success. They're built to chase it from day one.
The thing with Sophie Cunningham is she is there to be basically the enforcer. She played a lot of the 5 at Phoenix. She literally played 1 through 5. She guarded 1 through 5 at Phoenix. There is maybe a not more versatile glue player in the WNBA than Sophie Cunningham. There are better players, there are more versatile players, but no more versatile glue players in 100k a year than Cunningham. She's almost a one of a...
Let's talk about Sophie Cunningham, a player who brings grit, shooting, and zero hesitation. Need someone who can get in an opponent's face and still knock down a clutch 3? Sophie's got you. And let's not forget, she was one of the first players to publicly praise Caitlin Clark. While some were throwing shade or acting like Caitlin wasn't special, Sophie kept it real. Caitlin is a gem. She's been a believer from the start. Now she finally gets to play alongside her. And if you think that energy won't be electric, think again. Sophie's toughness and Caitlin's fire? That's a duo built to bring intensity every single night.
Absolutely not. I think that she's a gem. I didn't know her, but All-Star Weekend, we kind of bantered back and forth a little bit. And she's lovely. She has a lot of pressure on her shoulders. And I think a lot of people always have a lot to say with people they don't even know or shoes they've never been in. And for me, I think she's handling the pressure very well. She's doing a lot of great things for women's basketball. And I'm a fan. Like, I would love to play with her one day, for real.
Then there's Natasha Howard, a former Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time WNBA champion, and a veteran who knows how to win. She's bringing elite defense, rebounding, and leadership to an Indiana team that just got significantly tougher. While other teams are focused on stopping Caitlin Clark, Indiana is making sure they can shut down anyone. With Boston controlling the paint, Howard locking up the perimeter, and Sophie Cunningham bringing relentless energy, this defense is built to frustrate opponents. And then there's Sydney Colson, bringing experience, toughness, and a veteran presence that will only strengthen Indiana's identity.
Snatched Sid Colson from the Aces. She is 100% vibes. She is 100% going to be a backup for Caitlin. It's going to be fantastic. Backup for Kelsey. Like, she is a great addition to this backcourt. She has senior leadership. She has championship experience. She is the most fun ever. And Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever front office is not messing around. They are putting everything in place to make sure that this year is a championship caliber team, and every addition it gets better and better and better.
The WNBA's funniest player just made a move no one saw coming. Sydney Colson left her MVP bestie, Aja Wilson, to to back up Caitlin Clark in Indiana. In Vegas, Coulson and Wilson were inseparable, cracking jokes, dominating the league, and making the Aces locker room the most entertaining in the WNBA. Yet, Coulson chose to leave a championship team for the Fever. That's not random. That's a statement. People aren't just watching Indiana from a distance anymore. They want in. Coulson could have stayed with the reigning champs, but instead, she's joining Caitlin Clark, the most hyped rookie in years. And it's not just about basketball. Coulson is a veteran presence who brings chemistry, leadership, and energy to any locker room. She's the kind of player who elevates a team, even from the bench, keeping morale high and the culture strong. Put it all together, and the message is clear. Indiana isn't waiting for success. They're not here for moral victories or good effort seasons. They've built a roster designed to compete and win right now.
Sydney Coulson is going to the Indiana Fever. I don't think anyone saw this in the cards, literally. I personally feel like it's a good pickup. I think it's a well upgrade over Erica Wheeler. No shade to her. A lot of people are like surprised as to why she didn't stay in Vegas. And in all honesty, there's a lot of reasons why she may feel called to.
While other teams are still figuring out rotations, Indiana already has a roster that works. They've got toughness, leadership, shooting, defense, and the championship mentality every contender needs. And if the rest of the WNBA isn't paying attention yet, they will soon. The league thought Indiana needed time, thought this was a slow rebuild, thought Caitlin Clark would go through rookie struggles before making a real impact. Yeah, not quite. The Fever are already smashing expectations before the season even begins. The roster? Stacked. The chemistry? Already there. And Caitlin Clark? She's not just here to play, she's coming for MVP. The WNBA wanted a competitive season. Well, Indiana just raised the stakes. If you're still doubting them, get ready. Because the moment that first game tips off and Clark starts pulling up from deep like it's nothing, reality is going to hit. The Fever aren't waiting their turn. They're here. They're ready. And they're about to make a whole lot of people rethink everything they thought they knew about this team. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe, more videos are on screen now.